Hello and good day. I'm Andrew, or I go by Andrew. I also go by Andreas sometimes. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about something that I find to be very important and lacking in the world, and that is wisdom. I think wisdom is pretty much the most important thing that there is. It's one of the most important things that there is. And for me, when I talk about the most important things that there are, they all exist kind of at the top of the list as number one. They just exist together in a collective basket, almost a collective pool of the most important things that there are. And for me, wisdom is one of those things. Wisdom to me is information, is understanding, is intelligence that in all circumstances generate beneficial results. There are fundamental principles and concepts and ideas that always generate fundamental results or beneficial results. It gets complicated because I don't know these wisdoms yet. I don't know if there are actually wisdoms because there exist contradictions in reality as far as I've been able to see. And I think one of the wisdoms that I have now is that life changes, and in order to actually develop these wisdoms, these wisdoms that are fundamental to life, we may actually need to change life in reality in a way that it hasn't been changed yet, to create a basic platform of life through creative processes, including creating functional sciences that create safety, create stability, and are that which allow for fundamental principles of wisdom to exist in a functional way. It may be so that I have just not been able to do what is wise in as functional a way as I thought I had been able to do, which is basically be loving and kind. I mean, sometimes loving kindness is not accepted by others. And to me, this is actually quite sad. But sometimes somebody is so closed off from some part of life, and that they are actually closed off and resistant to loving kindness from others. And I think love and kindness and loving kindness are really fundamentally some of the better principles to use, some of the better stuff to use in life to accomplish results. I think love is great. I mean, quite frankly, I've seen in my life examples where the most effective tools to use at any moment, given the immediacy of experiences that I've been having, are actually more fierce. And I differentiate fierceness from aggression. I think aggression is unnecessary, and fierceness is oftentimes necessary for protectionary purposes. But I mean, once again, I was trying to talk specifically about wisdom and the cultivation of wisdom. And for me, it comes to, it's quite complex. It has been quite complex, and I think there's something missing in existence, actually. And I think that which is missing in existence are fundamental rules or dynamics of nature that are of a type of quality that have the wisdom encoded within them to keep everybody safe to a degree that is wise and appropriate. And wise and appropriate have to be defined somehow. And with this safety, freedom will be generated, or will be fundamentally there will be a fundamental ability, or there will be, from this fundamental safety, an ability to be free that exists. And I think that the type of wisdom that I've been seeking, that does not require somebody to effectively stand on their head and walk on their hands to live a better life. I think that this kind of wisdom that I'm seeking, even if it's seeking it in the creation of it, it doesn't necessarily exist yet, at least in this realm of existence. And it's something that I'm focusing on creating through spiritual means and methods, and by thinking about this kind of stuff. I mean, I've experienced modalities of spirituality and philosophy that do have beneficial effects, but they are and have been, for me, largely inadequate. I have suffered in my life in ways that are indescribable right now, and would take an articulateness and ears or perceivers to hear or comprehend what I have to say in such a way that the story actually would be related comprehensibly. And it's quite a difficult thing to describe. There are many who have heard parts of my story, especially relating to a disease condition that I've been experiencing and that I still experience, called schizophrenia, that people really just don't understand. There seems to be this blockage where it becomes difficult for others to even comprehend what I'm saying when I tell them about the symptoms that I'm experiencing, or when I tell them about symptoms that I have experienced. And this lack of communication makes it difficult to associate with others, and which makes it difficult to would make it difficult to sort of cultivate an empathy in another based on comprehension or understanding of the reality of my life relative to their life, and or others who experience the symptoms of schizophrenia that I experience, or anything like it. And so it could be very difficult to generate wisdom about these specific topics. I'm losing my train of thought right now. That is a symptom of the condition that I've had. I've experienced quite a lot of damage to my mind over the years, and there is healing that is occurring, and quite considerable healing that is occurring. It's been a rough process, a very rough process, and I mean that relates back to what I was saying is, I think the foundations of life and existence have not been created well enough, and I think it's time in life and existence that we actually create the scientific foundations. We create the sciences, the very sciences. We stop saying science is the way it is, and we have to relate to life based upon those sciences and what they stipulate. It's kind of like the laws are the laws, we have to follow the laws. I say no, we are creator beings, as far as I can tell. We have creative capacity, we have intellects, we have mind, we have energy, we have power, we have heart, we have emotion, we have chemistry, we have consciousness. We can potentially create the very laws that are basically govern or manage the reality that we experience existentially. That's something that I've been focused on for a while now. But I think that's the truth, and I think creating these fundamental laws or ways, these guidelines, these boundaries in life is ultimately a sensible way of trying to establish the foundations of existence that are safe enough so that health and prosperity as part of health, and freedom as part of health as well, can exist in a profound way that is stable and cannot be harmed. I believe that there are perfect sciences that can be generated. I believe that there are perfect ways of thinking, perfect logic, perfect wisdoms that can be generated, that will, considering the concept of existential possibility, that there are infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field, or in different quantum fields, because there may be multiple quantum fields. There may be a singular quantum field with multiple quantum fields within it, or there may actually be multiple quantum fields that somehow simultaneously exist. But I believe that there might be, and I have to scientifically validate this, but it's worth trying anyways, because the alternative might be suffering. I believe that, and disease and dysfunction, I believe that it may be possible to actually generate the sciences that are fundamental to our existence, and to consciously manage those sciences with a managerial consciousness that is beyond power issues, beyond power struggles, beyond things like judgment, but is very discerning, is kind and loving, is peaceful, is in those ways healthful, and is extremely generous, is basically a form of altruistic. So I think that wisdom does exist, and I think that there is perfect wisdom when it comes to loving kindness. I think that loving kindness is the way, but it may be so that there needs to be an intellect developed, that an intelligence, at least, if not an intellect, maybe there's a fundamental essence to an intelligence that would coincide with this wisdom, this basic wisdom of loving kindness and peacefulness, to help that wisdom to function. Okay, so I'm seeing something conceptually here, definitely, that makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm glad I made this video, because this is progress. Evolution is occurring in my mind, and it may be very important evolution, because I've been working in ways, maybe even with others who are non-physical or who are physical, in a way that exists in different dimensions for myself, to actually create this new paradigm, this new way of being that is based in an improved environment, improved laws of the universe, and improved sciences is what I'm trying to say. Improved conditions, including the sciences of life and reality, and including the wisdom and even the intelligence, because it seems that wisdom needs to be paired with intellect in some way. I mean, the foundations of perfect wisdom, I think, do exist, and it is loving kindness. It's just how can this loving kindness be applied to any situation to improve the conditions of the situation if there is an issue? And if there's not an issue, how can loving kindness be used? How can this wisdom be used to improve the conditions if the conditions would benefit from being improved, which technically in some ways they always would, unless somebody is satisfied with the conditions as they are and don't want improvement, because they just want to experience things as they are without improvement, because they're good enough. So anyways, I think that wisdom is very important. I think that wisdom is incredibly important. I think that wisdom is fundamentally important. It is basically, essentially important to everything that relates to life. And I'm doing my best to cultivate and create wisdom. I'm doing my best to understand wisdom. I'm doing my best. I prefer the word comprehend, because in my experiences with schizophrenia, I was forced to stand under everything in existence, and I was forced to take I'll specify it specifically. I experienced that which was worse than hell for a long time. Part of my experience was actually having the totality of all karma existentially transferred to me, and being transferred to me, I'm talking about the karma of harm. I'm talking about detrimental karma. I'm talking about negative karma, not the karma of positivity, not the karma of goodness. I'm talking about all the negative stuff, all the difficult stuff, all the painful stuff, all the horrific stuff. And I generally don't like to say the negative stuff because I don't think it describes things as well as saying the bad stuff, the harmful stuff, the difficult stuff. And I had experientially all the painful, traumatic, harmful, sickly, bad karma of existence poured into my head and poured into my body and poured into my field in different ways, so that it became my karma, so that by cause and effect I was attracting situations magnetically, electromagnetically or magnetically, that were painful and atrocious and horrifically awful and so bad I can't really describe them in any words. And so I just use the word awful to describe some of these things. Awful for me, when I use that word, it generally means so bad I cannot describe it in words. So I'm just going to use this simple word because it was so painful, so intense, so extreme that words do not, the intensity of these feelings and thoughts and emotions and experiences were such that normal words really don't communicate the intensity in any actual way. But anyway, I mean, that's just a little bit about my past history, and it was awful. It was, to use that word, it was awful. So anyways, wisdom. Wisdom is great. We just need some more of it. Like, let's get some more wisdom, and let's get this wisdom fundamental, and this intelligence that I spoke of may be a fundamental part of wisdom, and maybe the intelligence of wisdom that hasn't developed yet. And it's an intelligence that I hope develops, and I hope is able to be disseminated to all of life, even through processes of things like conception, when it comes to conception of a new biological being, a new biological life form, where this stuff can be passed around in genetics and passed around spiritually, or passed around through energetics of a body that are related to the genetics of a body, and that can otherwise be passed around spiritually or passed around in consciousness. And I consider consciousness and spirit to be the same thing. I use those words interchangeably, so sometimes I'll refer to a life as consciousness, sometimes I'll refer to it as spirit or a spirit. Yeah, I mean, back to wisdom. I think wisdom is great. I think we need more of it. And actually, I feel quite excited because this video seems to have become something that has been productive in a really, really fundamentally profound way. The development of intellect, the development of an intelligence that relates to intellect might be necessary. And I believe this development can occur. I believe it can occur miraculously without conceptually having to design the intelligence bit by bit, piece by piece, component part by component part. Maybe it is that there's an aggregation or some organization of intelligences that have been effective throughout existence when considering anything like care and loving kindness. So these are loving, kind, and caring intelligences that may have existed in the past, that for which there may be imprints of, or maybe we can say that it is possible also for that which existed in the past to re-exist in the present now somehow, and re-existing in the present now, that intelligence can be used to somehow formulate those intellects, those intellectual intelligences, and that intelligence, whatever it may be, can be used to somehow to formulate this intelligence that cooperates with, that co-functions with, that may be synergistic with, that may be I don't have the words right now, but that would be fundamental in existing with the concepts and the principles of loving kindness to um, to make loving kindness more effective in all circumstances. And some part of this is understanding that there can be difficulties generated that relate to pain and suffering, and that relate to what has been called evil, that there can be detrimental, there can be harmful situations that can be generated about all sorts of different topics and all sorts of different subjects, and that can make things very difficult. And I'm searching for principles and intelligence that understands the totality of everything detrimental and harmful, including everything that contributes to or creates, that causes pain and suffering, and everything that relates to conditions like evil, because evil has been a hugely problematic part of all of this stuff, in my opinion. And evil may stem from conditions of a lack of conceptual knowledge about love and kindness, a lack of awareness about love and kindness, and the benefit that love and kindness actually provide, and why it is good. Maybe a lack of understanding of empathy, a lack of some type of empathy or consideration for others, based in how they might experience things. It could be because of this lack. It could also be because of trauma and harm. I don't care anymore because I've been hurt so bad. And I've been experiencing some of that recently. Like, I just don't care anymore. I don't care to be kind anymore because I've been hurt so badly that I don't actually want to be kind. I don't care to, and it feels actually, I mean, in some cases I've actually felt pain and suffering because I've been trying to be kind. And I've been trying to love, and I've been trying to care, but I've suffered it. And that's a problem. Anyway, for now, I am going to get going because I have a meal to attend to. And hopefully it attends to me in a nice way after I eat it. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for listening. And I hope it's been interesting. With love, with care, with appreciation, Andrew or Andreas. And I'm out.